Welcome to the Happy Hour with Rob Warner, an hour of stimulating conversation adding value to your financial future. Rob brings helpful insights into many aspects of the mortgage and real estate industry. Now, here's your host, Rob Warner.
Welcome to the Happy Hour. I'm Rob Warner with Guild Mortgage, and today we're going to break from our normal formatting to do a commemorative show for Memorial Day. And I have two special guests today. My old friend, Joe Rigdon, who used to host another previous radio show that I was on. And we have Ariel Jean from the Ariel Jean Band joining us today, too. Say hello, both of you.
Hello, both of you.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Great.
So I'm looking forward to this. And Joe, you know, I brought you on because we weren't going to talk business today, but we will mention that you are, well, tell us what you do for a living.
Well, I am the location manager for local cemetery, Camellia Memorial Lawn Cemetery, and it being Memorial Day, this is actually like our Super Bowl. This is the biggest day of the year in the cemetery industry. Memorial Day is all about the cemetery. It's to honor our veterans that have fallen in service of our nation, and this is the day when, you know, we get more people visiting the cemetery than any other day of the year to not just families of soldiers. A lot of people come out just to pay their respects in general and come out to the cemetery and, you know, kind of look around, wander around, and pay homage to our nation's veterans. You know, it's a very important day. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot more to it than I think a lot of people realize. A lot of people get some of these holidays confused, you know, like Veterans Day is for veterans in general. But Memorial Day is actually about specifically the soldiers that have fallen in service of our nation.
Yeah, I wanted to cover it because, you know, it gets lost a lot. You know, Memorial Day is a 3-day weekend. People have fun. They have barbecues, which I appreciate. Everybody has a good time with their families, but I think sometimes people forget about what the meaning of the day is, right?
And actually that was intentional when they started deeming that Memorial Day would be on that final Monday of May. It was because the federal government wanted it to be a 3-day weekend. So that's why it falls on that day. The original Memorial Day, what was May 30th, and the reason they chose that was because no significant battles had occurred throughout history on that day, and they didn't want Memorial Day to be confused with honoring any particular battle throughout U.S. history. So they chose May 30th as it was, you know, leading into summer, and that it wouldn't conflict with any celebration or honoring of, things that had occurred in a regular battle.
Yeah, I was doing a little research on it earlier today, and there was some veterans groups are kind of upset that they went to that last Monday of the month for the reason that it is a 3-day weekend, you know, and everything gets lost in the translation because of that.
There's an outcry of that. A lot of people feel as though it's not being honored in the same way that it used to. Arlington is one of the only national cemeteries that really still does a major event. They were the first cemetery to do a major event. They actually have a group of soldiers that go out and not only set the flags, but they run 24-hour patrols throughout the weekend to make sure that none of the flags are tampered with or that they fall over in the weather or anything like that. They constantly patrol the entire cemetery to make sure that all the flags are perfectly placed throughout the entire weekend.
And also the flag's supposed to be hung at half-mast, right, up till like noon on Memorial Day. Am I correct on that?
That's correct, until noon. And actually, recently, I'm not sure how long it was ago, but they adopted the POW MIA flag into that as well. So all military flags, because it is now standard in a veterans memorial area. Like at our cemetery, we call it we're not an official VA cemetery. We have a Veterans Memorial Garden. So like per se, we don't have sections in our cemetery. Sections kind of imply segregation and that sort of thing, that only certain people can be placed in different areas. We have memorial gardens. So ours is an area dedicated to the memory of our nation's veterans. And within that area, we're not really required because it's loosely, but most veterans cemeteries are required to have all branches of the military, and then they recently adopted, I say recently, is quite a few decades ago, they adopted the POW MIA flag in there as well. So all 7 flags, the 5 branches of the military and the POW MIA flag, as well as the American flag, are supposed to be placed, raised all the way to the top of the flagpole, and then lowered to half-mast until noon. And then at noon, they're supposed to be raised back up to full mast.
And then there's supposed to be something that happens at 3 o'clock technically too, right? Where you actually have, what's it called? It's like a just a remembrance?
It's a national thing. It's supposed to be nationally. It's supposed to be across the nation, whether you're actually visiting the cemetery or not. That all Americans are requested by the Department of Veterans Affairs to take a moment of remembrance.
Yeah, take a moment. That's the right word for it.
So if you're out having your barbecue today, and you should have actually a few minutes ago taken a moment to stop and think about your nation's veterans and those who have actually fallen in defense of this nation, actively on duty. The whole reason you're able to go out there and have that barbecue is because of the young men and women that have given their lives for this nation.
That's true. You know the beginning of where Memorial Day first started, right? I'm presuming.
Well, there's a lot of debate over the original origin, but yeah, it was actually birthed out of the Civil War.
Correct.
For a long time, the South actually, so a lot of the southern states refused to acknowledge Memorial Day. It wasn't until World War I that the southern states decided to acknowledge Memorial Day because they felt it was a honoring the northern Yankee soldiers, and it was they obviously were part of the Confederate. And they did not wish to recognize it until after World War I. And World War I was a really, a huge war, and it brought together a lot of the soldiers from everywhere. It was actually the most major war since the Civil War that, had participants from all states. And then at that point in time, they decided to. But however, a lot of the southern states still have their own separate Memorial Day. They don't call it Memorial Day, but they have different names for it within those states where it's a day to honor just the Confederate soldiers.
Oh, they still do that to this day?
To this day, they still do that in, I believe, in Texas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and Mississippi all have separate days throughout the year that are set aside specifically to honor the Confederate soldiers.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was trying to do as much research because, believe it or not, I did not know as much as I thought I did about Memorial Day.
I'm shocked, Rob.
Yeah.
Completely shocked. Well, this is my business. This is what we do. One of the things out at our cemetery, we're one of the most culturally and ethnically diverse cemeteries in the world. We deal with people from all over the globe, just about any culture you can imagine that uses cemeteries. Some cultures don't use cemeteries at all, but all the cultures that do use cemeteries, we have representations of that. Within our cemetery, we were the first cemetery in the Sacramento area to have a Muslim garden dedicated, and it was actually a very difficult thing to accomplish because most cemeteries you run on kind of a grid. Well, you go by east and west, that sort of thing. The Muslims actually have to be buried at due east and due west. So you have to take a section of your cemetery and actually run diagonal lines through it in order to accommodate for that. We were the first cemetery in the area to do that. We also have a high embracing of the Hmong and Min community. A lot of our immigrants from the Vietnam region came over after they helped us out, and we bailed out. We had to bring them with us. So we had a large influx of immigrants from the Vietnam region, and we have reached out to their community over the years and have helped them to feel comfortable with the practice in practicing their culture within our grounds. And so, in order to do my job, you really have to know a lot about different cultures and how they honor, and of course, definitely about your own. I'm American born and bred all my life, and so it's very important to understand the culture that goes into your own. Dealing with making sure to properly honor our nation's veterans and those who have fallen. Not only in service, just in general, those who have served and then later on, for whatever reason have met their end. We want to make sure that, so we don't just place flags on graves of soldiers that have died in service. We place flags on all the veterans' graves throughout the cemetery, because not all of them are in the Veterans Memorial Garden. Oh. And the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts, they still work with a lot of cemeteries in helping to honor Memorial Day. We bring out Pac 28, local Rancho Cordova Pac 28 Cub Scouts. With Cub Scouts, it's very difficult for them to find public service that they can do. It's part of their requirements. They need to go out and, service the community. With Boy Scouts, they're a little older. It's kind of easier for them to go out and help build things or help clean up areas. When you got Cub Scouts that are in first grade, it's kind of hard.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Adding value to your financial future, it's the Happy Hour with Rob Warner.
I'll lead her in.
Talk about it a little more. Welcome back to the Happy Hour. I'm Rob Warner with Guild Mortgage. We had to interrupt Joe Rigdon for a commercial break. My commercial break, of course. But anyway, Joe, what were you saying?
We were just talking about the Cub Scouts and how difficult it is for a lot of times for younger scouts to go out and volunteer within the community. So one thing that we find is very good for them to obtain those. What's the word I'm looking for? Public service, community service credits as they come out to the cemetery. They'll be out there. They were out here, the other day, planting flags for the veterans. So they come out. We bring out refreshments and such for them, and they come out with their families and make sure to place the flags on all the veterans' graves, and then they go out throughout the cemetery outside the veterans' garden and kind of scavenger hunt and look for different markers, because we usually have special markers signifying that they were a veteran. Not always, but most often, because the VA provides the marker for the grave. The headstone, as it's more commonly known. Yeah, they will provide that for a veteran, but they don't provide it for the spouses. Only for the actual veteran.
Huh, I didn't know that.
There's all those Army guys, they get 3 or 4 wives, and they don't want to be buying a bunch of headstones.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
But anyways, yeah. So it is definitely something that, despite some of the complaints, we at the cemetery take very seriously. We have a lot of families that come out and need our assistance. We don't get to do the 3-day weekend when you work in the cemetery industry. You have to be at work on Memorial Day. It's kind of a requirement, unspoken requirement, to make sure that we're there to assist all these families on that day.
That's a noble cause. Hey, I was doing some research, and there was some, like 8 things you might not know about Memorial Day.
Oh, quiz me. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, well.
Contrary to popular belief, although consistent with my wife, I do not know everything.
Well, while the first commemorative Memorial Day events weren't held in the United States until the late 19th century, the practice of honoring those who have fallen in battle dates back thousands of years. The ancient Greeks and Romans had held annual days of remembrance for loved ones, including soldiers each year. So,
you know why they used to put flowers on the graves? I'll give you my own set of trivia. You know why?
No.
Because in Northern Europe, it's really hard to dig real far down. So things might not smell that good in the summertime. So they used to plant flowers out there to kind of cover up the smell of what was coming out of the cemetery.
Really?
That's originally where it came from. One of the original. I mean, it's probably arguable. Somebody's out there fact checking me, going, "Wait a minute!" But as far as I know, that's where it adapted from over the centuries.
Well, one of the other ones was one of the earliest commemorations was organized by recently freed slaves.
I did not know that one.
So as the Civil War neared its end, thousands of Union soldiers held as prisoners of war were herded into a series of hastily assembled camps in Charleston, South Carolina.
I know originally it was called Decoration Day before it was called Memorial Day. They didn't start calling it Memorial Day until after World War I. It was originally called Decoration Day, and they went out to decorate the graves. It's a fairly generic name.
Yeah, I was noticing that, and they're saying here too, on May 1865, more than 1,000 recently freed slaves, accompanied by regiments of U.S. colored troops, including Massachusetts 54th Infantry, and a handful of white Charlestons gathered in camp to consecrate a new proper burial site for the Union dead. So, these are just trivial. They're not really trivial. They're things
I'd say it's not very trivial. That's pretty significant, man. That's amazing. That is amazing. Just like the job you're doing here on this show. I think this is amazing.
Well, thank you, Joe.
You're bringing in great guests like me, and there's a lot of people out there that I think today is a very patriotic day. Memorial Day is a very American holiday. It's a good day to be patriotic. I don't think there's a brand of music in our industry, in our nation, that is more patriotic, arguably more patriotic than the country music scene. And you have a member of that scene here with you.
And that is the voice of Ariel Jean right there on the mic, because she is joining us today with her band, or part of her band, huh, Ariel?
Yeah, my 2 other sisters and our lead guitarist, Rick Liss.
So later in the program, Ariel will be performing, or I should say they will be performing, a song called Soldier, which is going to be very cool.
Well, that's very appropriate. Again, a patriotic brand of music. I don't think I've ever seen a country western album without an American flag somewhere.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Definitely. Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Tell me.
I don't know, man. It's country. Country is American. I don't
right?
think you find country. Do you find country western? I ask you. Have you heard of foreign country western bands?
I would just say that it's one of the biggest genres of music right now. I think probably because, I don't know, it unites us more.
Are there Australian country? Do you know any Australian country artists?
Not that I know of.
How about British? Any British country artists out there? That's what I'm saying. I think it's a true American genre. That's why you get a lot of pride in that. It's something that was kind of born out of our nation.
No, I agree with you. I do agree with you. I see that at rodeos everywhere. You have the flag,
Totally.
right? The flag of the United States.
Another American thing, rodeos. You go overseas. You got the roar on the bowls, but little Spaniards, going out there. But I mean, rodeos are a very American thing. That's kind of a stereotype for us.
So what else can you share with us, Joe, before we get into Ariel?
I can share all kinds of stuff with you. It just depends on what you really want to hear and what's appropriate
Don't
for
tell
the
us
radio.
too much.
No. Just that, make sure when you're out today that you really take the time to honor your veterans. Even if you're near a cemetery that has a veteran area, whether you know anybody placed in there or not, take the time. Take the time to just go in and sit silent for 30 seconds. Just stop by and recognize the fact that all these young men and women throughout the decades, throughout the centuries, have fought to protect your freedom, your right to be able to drive your car, to go to your rodeo, to play your music, and to do all the things we need to. Especially now, we have, you got the recent events out in Manchester. You've got, all kinds of madness and chaos in modern America and the world going on out there, and a lot of people who maybe necessarily don't speak as highly of our freedoms, maybe necessarily don't feel as good about this country, but these young men and women surely did enough to lay down their lives in defense of it, in defense of the ideals of our forefathers, in defense of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, everything that it is to be an American. I think a lot of people, when I was overseas, people would ask me, oh, you're American, what does that mean? I'm like, man, it means I was born in America. What else would it mean? It means that I'm a citizen of America. American is not. It's kind of funny. When I fill out my census, I don't write. When they ask me for my ethnicity, I put American. When they ask me for my race, I put human. I think that's one of the things that's so important in this nation. When we have a lot of people who feel otherwise and want to be divided or want to rewrite history and reinterpret things from the past and condemn our forefathers as something other than what we learned in school as kids. I think it's so important to focus on the reality of what we have. We have the greatest nation in the history of the world. And to me, that's not an arguable point. We have accomplished more in the last 100 years than any other nation throughout the entire history of the world. There's a reason why so many people around the world emulate our culture, because it is a culture of freedom. It is a culture of fun. A lot of people in foreign countries refer to us as the big kids. Well, that's great. These young men and women fought hard so we could be a bunch of big kids. So we could, have great radio shows like this on the afternoon. We can talk to people like yourself. People like Ariel can go out and pursue her dreams, despite somebody else telling her what her dreams may be and forcing her to do what they feel like she should do with her life. I think it's so important, and so much of that is because of these young men and women that have fought for these rights that we exercise every day. So take your time as you're driving past a cemetery, as you see that flag flying, just stop for a few seconds out of your day. You're willing to go through a Starbucks drive-through for 10 minutes, stop and look at a flag and just take the time to say thank you, even quietly in your own head. Those young men and women not only knew they were giving their lives, but they put them at risk. They put out there and they gave the ultimate sacrifice.
No, they did. That's why I wanted you on the show today, Joe, because it's been heavy on my heart lately with all the turmoil in this country.
Yeah,
and people,
so much is going on.
And people actually trashing what the United States stands for in America, and they don't, it's like they don't.
Well, I think that's important too. A lot of people look at the American dream, which is what a lot of these guys fought for. These guys and gals, a lot of young men and women fought for is the American dream. And I've had people ask me that, what is the American dream? To me, the American dream is not a white picket fence, 2.5 children. That might be an American's dream, but that is not the American dream. The American dream is Oliver Twist. It's rags to riches. This was the first nation in the history of the world where you could move between the classes, where your escalation within society did not depend on your birthright, did not depend on others choosing it for you. It depended on your hard work, your integrity, and your dedication, and the opportunity that is always there for you to rise throughout the ranks. And I think that's something we should always fight to protect. So many great self-made millionaires within this nation that came from nothing and built something. Hunter S. Thompson, a great American author, once wrote in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas about how he was searching for the American dream and found it in Circus Circus, where it was a young kid that went out and wanted to join the circus, and after hard work and integrity, eventually ended up owning the circus. To me, that's the epitomization of what America is. You can go out and follow your dreams and reach them beyond your wildest imagination. That's not something you see in socialist nations. That's not something you see in communist nations and things like that. That's why so many of those nations fell throughout the century and have now gone. I mean, look at China. China used to be known as Red China. China is one of the most capitalist nations in the world today. That's part of their huge success within, is looking upon what made America successful, that capitalism, that strive and that ability to go out and make yourself whatever you want to be.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's why I was brought up. My parents came over from Europe when they were young, and they came over here because they wanted those freedoms.
You're first generation American then.
Yeah,
huh?
my dad was from Germany, and my mom was from Copenhagen, Denmark. So, they came over here, went through Ellis Island, and went through all that whole process and became citizens. They wanted to become Americans.
Just so that one day you could have an afternoon radio show.
I don't know if that's what they were thinking. They're both passed away now, but if they were able to be here right now, they'd be going, "Oh my gosh, what a," they'd be like.
That's not what we all dream of, is to have our kids grow up and have a radio show.
I know you do, Joe.
I actually have two children. I've taught them throughout their entire lives. I'm only here to guide them. Their dreams and goals are beyond any of my wildest imagination, And I always say the most interesting people I've ever met in my life are in their 40s and 50s and have no idea what they want to do when they grow up. We don't have a nation where we sit and go, okay, you're going to be a worker, you're going to be, an intellect, you're going to be this. It's all about fostering an environment for growth and allowing people to pursue whatever their dreams are, despite even what their parents may want. A lot of, again, self-made millionaires out there didn't follow their parents' plan, didn't follow other people's plan for them. They went out and sought out what was important to them and pursued it. I mean, shoot, if you asked me, 15 years ago, if I thought I'd ever be running a cemetery, I couldn't imagine that I was doing that.
But you did it.
Exactly, and more of it was just about taking advantage of opportunities that were available to me. When you see those windows open, those doors open, you got to step through it, and having the freedom to step through it is what today is all about. The people that have given their lives, that have put their lives on the line and made the ultimate sacrifice so that we can have those doors continue to open for us and continue to make our own choice to walk through them.
Excellent, Joe. It's been an honor having you here talking about this today. Can you give a little information about your cemetery real quick? We have like a minute left before the halftime break.
I'm the location manager at Camellia Memorial Lawn. We're at 10221 Jackson Road out in Sacramento, California. We are out there about 1 mile east of Bradshaw. Our phone number is 916-363-9431. Stop in. Even if you have a loved one there placed or not, we encourage the general public to visit our cemetery. We try to keep things looking like a park. We don't want people to think of cemeteries as a place full of ghosts and goblins. It's a place of history. It's a place where we come to honor our ancestors. We have a saying when we work with families, we're with them for generations to come, and we really take that to heart. Everyone in our cemetery is still considered to be a person, and we honor those people every day, and we encourage the general public to come in, learn about your history, see the people that have existed before you and the things they've done. And yeah, just come on out and say hi. We'd love to give you a tour. You come and see me out there. Again, we're at 10221 Jackson Road. Come on out. We'll give you a tour of the cemetery, show you what we have. We have a lot of expansions going on and new things coming.
Well, everybody stick around, and we'll be back with Ariel Jean just in a few minutes.
It's the Happy Hour with Rob Warner on Money 105.5 and Money1055.biz.
Welcome back to the Happy Hour. I'm Rob Warner with Guild Mortgage, and I'm excited to be bringing you Ariel Jean and her two sisters, Aubrey Anne, Amber Joy, and your guitarist, Rick.
Yes.
Rick Lynn? Liss?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting it right.
You
All
got it.
right. How's it going today?
Going good. I mean, super excited to be here. Loved what Joe had to say earlier. It was just like right on the money. And I mean, Memorial Day is such an emotional subject. We actually do a tribute at every one of our shows to all the fallen soldiers, and then active duty, anyone who's currently served or is gonna serve in the future. Just shouting out our thanks to them, and we usually play the song Soldier, or we also do America the Beautiful, just as a tribute and a thanks to everything they sacrifice. I mean, something that wasn't brought up earlier was just the families, you know, and what they go through, because I had a friend in high school and just watched what his family went through with him being overseas and being on active duty. And there's so much more to it with when you have a family, and or if you're married and you have kids and your spouse is away for an entire year, and these mothers or fathers are stay at home and raise the kids practically on their own, and it's such a sacrifice, and that's just really kind of not talked about because it's so emotional. It's an emotional subject, but that's why when you messaged me to be on this show, I was like, absolutely, I would love to, because I'm all about that. And like Joe said, country music is so patriotic, and that's one of the main things I love about it is you can talk about your country and you can talk about your Christian faith and belief, and it's just one of the main reasons why I love the country music scene. It's just great. So.
Well, it's awesome that you came on the show. So tell me a little bit about yourself, or yourselves, I guess.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I definitely, yeah. So my name's Ariel Jean, and I've been playing music since I was 12 years old. My dad taught me how to play guitar. I just came up to him and was like, Dad, I really want to play guitar, because he'd been playing forever. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, sure, Ariel, I'll teach you, because, you know, he's like, she's probably just going to give it up. But he taught me like 3 or 4 chords, and then I wrote my first song within the first couple of days, and he was like, whoa, okay, she's actually kind of serious about this. So I sang my first original song at one of the, I think, 6th or 7th grade talent shows, and it just kind of blew up from there. Played music all throughout high school, but it really took off kind of when I started playing open mic nights when I turned about 21. Maybe a little younger than that, and just started playing open mic nights, started meeting other musicians, and then played in my first band and went from there. But I didn't really ever think that I would have a family band, which is the coolest thing of my life. Getting to play with my siblings is amazing. I mean, just the chemistry we have as singers. And my sister Amber just wrote a song, actually. So we might start playing a couple of her original songs. Who knows?
Very nice. So
yeah.
When did this come about that they joined up with you? How did that all come about?
So a couple of years ago, when I first started the Ariel Jean Band, I just asked Amber. I was like, hey, I didn't think she'd say yes, because she has 2 kids and she's got her own life, but she's a great performer and always did karaoke. So I was like, hey, you know, I would really love it if you came out to this show. It was like one of our first shows we ever had at Bar 101 in Roseville. And I'm like, I'd love it if you came out and just sang with me. So she came out, and I was like, all right, yeah, this sounds really good. Do you want to, like, you know, sing with me? And she said, of course. And then we started singing backup for a band called Blackburn Bullet. And we just got opportunity after opportunity once that happened. And Aubrey just recently joined a couple of months ago, but I always knew she could do it. And she's the baby of the family, 22. But yeah, so I knew she could do it, and it's just been great. I mean, you guys can feel free to chime in and
Yeah, you're welcome to talk.
say your input,
She's
because
talking for all of
they're
us,
like, she
yeah.
forced us. No, just kidding.
No, it's one of those things where you never think you can get closer to your siblings, and then every day that we do things together like this, or every time we get together for a family event, it's like we just grow closer and closer together. And singing is something that's just really important to our family in general, and so to be able to have the 3 of us on stage together and to be able to come together in that unique way is just undescribable.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
it has to be. That's incredible. Talk to me about your faith.
Yeah, so basically we grew up in a family of 6 kids. My dad is a pastor, and he's done radio.
In this very station.
Yeah,
I
in
know.
this very station.
You were going to tell me about it earlier, but I said
Yeah.
wait till the show, so tell me about that. What?
Yeah, so
I think he spoke here for the last 5 years. I think his show just ended.
yeah,
like,
he had a show
month or
called
2 ago.
Nobody Knows and Kingdom News. And so we just grew up basically in a Christian home, and So it's something that's really important to us, and for me, it's the most important thing. But I'm a Sabbath keeper, so I don't do shows from Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown. And people forever have been telling me, you're never going to get anywhere because you won't play at the bars on Fridays or you won't do shows, because it's important to me. And I just told them, you know what? God's going to find a way for me to get there. And so I decided I wasn't going to play on Sabbath anymore. And ever since then, I'm not kidding, door after door after door has opened, just one thing after another. And it's just been absolutely unbelievable how God's been working in my life and through this band. I mean, we've done tons of charity events. We just did an event yesterday at a winery for a low-income district school, a low-income school district in Sacramento, and Rick Liss' wife actually is a teacher there, and so we decided that we were going to do a fundraiser for their school, and somebody actually donated a Les Paul, a custom-made Les Paul guitar
For auction.
for the auction.
Wow, very nice.
And so we were able to raise a substantial amount of money, and we've done all sorts of charity events along the lines of that. And so, I mean, that's just another reason why I think God is blessing us, is because we're giving back to our community. And
we've got to do some really cool things. Like, we've opened up for Eli Young and Cadillac 3, and we've sung for opening for like Frankie Ballard back before he was really famous. So we've had a lot of really cool opportunities, and we feel really blessed. I think it's been I don't know, it's kind of been like a whirlwind experience since 2015. I mean, really since then has everything taken off for us. So.
How do you get your name out there? Just word of mouth, or are you constantly promoting yourselves? Or?
yeah, I mean, through social media, but like what I've noticed is just once we play a show, more and more people are hearing about us. So we play all the local places like Opera House Saloon, Country Club Saloon, Valencia Club, all these different places. And I mean, people just start talking more and more about it, and then the gigs just keep flowing, and private parties come to us, and we meet people. Like, we're gonna do a music video on one of our friends' yachts in Sacramento this summer, so that's gonna be coming out at the end of July, August time. So yeah, I mean, just one thing after another.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Adding value to your financial future, it's the Happy Hour with Rob Warner.
Welcome to the Happy Hour. We're joined again by our special guests, the Ariel Jean Band, with Ariel Jean, Aubrey Anne, Amber Joy, and Rick Liss. Why can't I get that name right? I don't know. Probably because I didn't write it down. So. Anyway. Listen, I wanted to ask you about like original music. So, do you write all your own songs and everything?
Yeah. So, I have tons of original songs. We play about 4 or 5 of them out, just because we like to play cover songs that people know, can recognize.
Dance
but
to.
Sing too.
Actually, several of our songs now, people are starting to like know the words and will come specifically because they heard our original music, which is really cool. We have a music video online that has over 10,000 views. So you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook. We have a website, arieljean.com. And all of those links are actually already on the website. So you just click them and you can find videos, where we're playing next, all of the above.
We actually have a line dance to one of our songs that we choreographed, and I've had people
Amber
ask,
choreographed.
Fine, I choreographed. I've had people ask, like, what is it called, so that we can go on YouTube and learn it. And I was like, yeah, we should probably put that on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's very
we've
cool.
had people learn it, and it's been really exciting.
So talk about the original song you're going to be playing today for us.
Right. So it's special for today, Memorial Day, because the song is called Soldier. I actually wrote it a while ago, probably 6 years ago, but it's kind of morphed. I've rewritten it several times, and the song just the meaning keeps becoming more powerful to me. But it basically, every time I play it, it just totally makes me think about our military personnel and what they've given up, what they've sacrificed, just so that we can have the freedom and have the things that we have here. And it's just such an emotional thought. You know, sometimes we get emotional on stage just singing it, or when we sing America the Beautiful. And so this song, it's a story about a girl who's in love with a man who's serving overseas, and just a prayer. It's a prayer to God that, you know, he'll keep him safe and bring him back home to her, because he's not just anyone, he's the man that she loves. So it's just, every time I sing it, it becomes something more. But it's just one of my favorite songs. I love singing it. So.
Well, let's hear it.
All right.
Okay.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Waking up on the other side, not sure if I'm even awake, knowing he's in danger brings me to my knees. So I say this prayer every morning, evening and at night, that you'll bring him home safely, so that he can hold me tight. So you see, he's not just anyone, he's a man that I love. You see, he's not just anyone, he's a man that I love. You see, I can't live in a world where he doesn't exist, and he's fighting in a war where he can only use a gun in his fist. So you see, he's not just anyone, he's the man that I love. You see, he's not just anyone, he's the man that I love. Oh, Father, you can give him strength that no man can take away. You can keep him safe through every single day. So you see, he's not just anyone, he's the man that I love.
That's incredible. Thank you very much. That is just great.
Thank you so much for having us on the show and just giving us the opportunity to let more people hear it.
Oh, it's really great having you here. It's just made this whole day just wonderful. But listen, what are you planning on doing in the future? What are your goals right now?
I mean, it's hard to say. Just when we first ever started this band, it was kind of one of those things where we're like, we'll just play a couple of gigs, see where it goes, and it's just kind of blown up to something much bigger than I ever dreamed it would ever be.
Yeah, we had like 6 shows this month, I think.
You had 6 shows?
Yeah, I mean, we're booked almost every
weekend.
weekend till New Year's. So it's like so much is going on. But, I mean, my idea is just to continue helping as many people as I can through what I love to do, which is playing music. And I just... my favorite thing is when somebody hears one of my songs and it touches them, or they feel something they've never felt before, and that just makes all of this worth it. Or when I'm able to help somebody. We actually had a fan who passed away recently, and we just had a little get-together at one of our favorite bars that we would all hang out at, and his entire family came, and we were just able to help them through this time. And
they were at every show. They
Yeah.
literally
Yeah,
never missed a
every
show.
single show.
It was
Yeah.
amazing. So I mean, and they still all come, even though he has passed on. So we
Yeah.
appreciate them so much.
So, I mean, just helping as many people as we can, doing charity events, and then also, I mean, we would just love to keep opening for bigger bands and playing locally, but if it ever goes beyond that, it's totally up to God.
There you go. It's in God's hands. I'll
That's
tell you
right.
what, I'll do my best to promote you any way I can, because
Thank you.
you're just
so much.
awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
We have about 5 minutes left, and I know you do another song, another patriotic song. Although it's not the full song,
Yeah,
why don't
right.
we do that now? Because I don't want to be under time constraints.
Yeah,
Is that
you got it.
okay?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plains. America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining say.
Oh my gosh, gives me goosebumps listening to that. That is incredible. So why don't you say how people can get a hold of you again one more time?
Okay,
just
for
so-
sure. So we have a website called arieljean.com, ArielJean.com. And from there, you can click on our Facebook link or our Instagram and YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And basically,
Yeah, we post all of our shows. We do banners for all of our shows, so you can post them on your pages as well
Yeah,
if you
and
want to
share
help
'em.
promote and share them.
Lots of videos.
And yep.
We've got free posters you can put on your businesses.
Oh, you have videos available as well?
Yep.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, we have everything.
yeah.
So
So you're staying busy. Well, we have a few minutes left. Anything else you want to add to your, talk about that
You know
is
what?
really important to you?
you know what I would say is we had a show. We did a private show, and there was this little girl, and it was a party, and there was a lot of adults around. But there was this little girl who videoed every single song that we did. I think her name was Taylor, so I hope I got a shout out to her. But she, we walked up afterwards, and we signed a poster and gave it to her, and she kind of teared up, and her mom was like, "Thank you so much." She's really shy, and I would just like to say that Ariel was kind of shy. like growing up, and she's not anymore. And I think that you can do this, and you can really grow and become whatever you want to be as long as you're willing to put the time in and learn to play the guitar and learn how to sing and really be able to express yourself in the way that you feel comfortable and not really care what everyone else thinks about it, because at the end of the day, I mean, Ariel does what she loves, and everyone else, I think, loves it because of that.
Right.
I think that's important.
And not only that, we do this for fun. Like, I think a lot of people don't attempt to do this kind of thing because they just want to make it big and they want to be huge. And playing in small town places, especially in a town and a place that we love, is just so close to home, so close to the heart, and it totally makes this amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to grab my wife and come see one of your next performances,
We
that's
would
for
love
sure.
it.
Come on out.
I think we play at the Opera House July 15th, right?
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Our next big show is going to be at Opera House Saloon, July 15th. And actually, our fourth sister is going to be joining us on stage.
Yes.
How many sisters do you have?
There's 4 girls
Oh.
and 2 boys in our family. So we grew up in a family of 6. And we have all sorts of crazy stories growing up.
But we're all musical. I'm like the only one who doesn't play an instrument. Well, I kind of play a guitar, but I really don't. Like, everyone else plays an instrument. Like, everyone's very musical. We're very blessed.
Where's the Opera House at?
It's in Old Roseville.
Okay.
Kind of off Vernon Street area. Yeah. Really.
Oh, very
Church
nice.
Street.
Yeah, it's one of the coolest venues around, though. They have a huge dance floor, huge stage.
Yeah.
Awesome place.
That's where we got to play open for Frankie Ballard. So if he'll play there, then.
Well, I'm going to come check it out. My wife Karen and I will definitely come check it out.
Awesome.
We would love to see
Anyway,
you
we're going to wind down now. Thanks everybody for listening to us today. We'll be back with you next Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week and
Happy
your
Memorial
Day.
Day.
That.